Alright, so my camera's been a little glitchy lately. I changed some settings, hopefully that fixed it, but just fair warning if you notice any glitchiness in the video. Which sucks because I don't have the money right now to upgrade my camera. And I don't have a better option. I've got secondary camera over here, but he kind of sucks. So you know how it is. Anyway, today we're talking about the Owl House episode, Them's the Breaks, Kid, in which Eda, to help Luce chill out, tells her the story of how she and Raine met, because clearly Raine's situation is still very much in the forefront of Eda's mind. And, of course, that's the story she's going to go to in a situation like that then. And it's a really cute story. And I could talk for a really long time about it. I could just gush about the details. I'm going to make an active attempt not to do that, because I don't need to do that to review the episode. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time than probably necessary on literally just the very last scene of the episode, so I'm going to save some time for that. And also, I'm going to try to get more content out for you guys. I am trying to make the time, along with all of the other various TV reviews I'm doing, to also start getting more theory content out for you guys. And discussions about stuff out to you guys. And not dwelling too much on the small details of episodes will help with that. So less summation and more analysis. Let's put it that way. What I liked about this episode is that, very much like the second of the two Amphibia episodes this week, which was the Core and the King, that gave us a flashback that explained a lot of stuff in the modern times of Amphibia, this flashback explained a lot of stuff in the modern times of the Owl House. We know that there was a wedge driven between Eda and her sister, and it's implied that they even started to feel that before Eda didn't make the coven, along with Lilith. That the competitiveness that convinced Lilith that it was a good idea to curse her sister in order to win a slot in the coven might have grown out of other systemic stuff. This episode confirms that, when we see that, despite the fact that Lilith and Eda at the time were inseparable, the fact that Lilith needed to study harder than Eda did meant that she eventually started to drift away from her sister to focus more on that. We see in this episode why Bump seems to have such a respect for Eda, and in fact seems to value her, to the point that he'll let some random weird human go to his school, and even allow that human to change school policy. We got our best look at what's her name, Torre Snapdragon, I think it is, the Plant Coven head leader, who is such an imposing figure, and seeing her in the past here gave us more context to how she is in the present. It was a very informative episode, on top of having a really fun story. The story of how Eda and Raine meet is really cute. Eda is going to be expelled because the headmaster prior to Bump, who's just the worst, he embodies the worst of everything that a school official can be. Just straight up. He doesn't see the value in her, so he sends her off to this competition, and if she doesn't come back with a ribbon from this competition, there's not just one blue ribbon, there's many, many ribbons you can win, but like, if she doesn't come back with a ribbon, she's going to be expelled from school, and this would suck for her, not just because she's expelled from school at that point, but because it would mean that she wouldn't be able to get into the Emperor's Coven with Lily. And at this point in her life, that's what she wants more than anything. While she's there, though, she's having trouble fitting in with everybody, because her style of doing things, while she's powerful and while she definitely knows what she's doing, she just doesn't gel well with other people in social situations. So Raine finds her and impresses her by turning the gross generic juice that they're serving at this thing into name brand by whistling on it, because being a bard, they have the ability to use tones to change things on a molecular level, something that Raine apparently figured out themselves. And they become fast friends, with Eda doing her usual delinquent stuff, her usual skillful delinquent stuff, and then Raine kind of translating it into stuff that works for the competition, and the two of them doing very well together because of that. In fact, Raine goes to like a special boarding school at this point. They're extremely talented and powerful. Like, easily on par with Eda at her prime. And it's only because in the end, when Torre forces all of the competitors to become Coven Witches and Wild Witches and fight, with the Coven Witches trying to capture the Wild Witches, and the two end up on different sides, they refuse to fight, and therefore no one wins this year. It's only then that Raine leaves that fancy boarding school and goes to Hexside to be with Eda. And so just as Eda and Lily start to slip apart a little, not completely yet, but a little, Eda has Raine to fall back on. Like, even before, like, it's clear that there's already a thing between them, but even before the romance was a thing, Raine was already this phenomenally important person to Eda, this person who swooped in to rather competently fill the void that was starting to be left by her sister. And since Bump's career, since he vouched for Eda, was dependent on Eda doing well, and her treachery still impressed Torre, who is just the worst. She's just like, she's a pure evil person, like, no doubt. But since she impressed Torre, and then Torre sent word back to Hexside that she was impressed by Eda, Bump manages to keep his career, and Eda manages to stay in school. And so that's where that respectful relationship between Bump and Eda comes from. I thought it was really cool. It all fit together really well. As George Lucas would say, it rhymes. Though I will say, Tara's casual cruelty, like, she's just cool with these kids just dying over the course of this competition that she's overseeing. Just totally fine with it. The Emperor's guards have to remind her that it's illegal to kill children. Like, twice. That did kind of detract from my enjoyment of the silliness of the rest of the episode. But, like, that's how this show works, if you really think about it. It's just not usually as overt as that. Like, this world exists amidst an oppressive system. I almost said impressive. It's impressive how oppressive it is. But it exists amidst an oppressive system. So all of the fun that the characters have in this world, which is magical and cool, and probably wouldn't like to spend a lot of time there, but I wouldn't mind visiting the Boiling Isles for a little while, right? Seems pretty neat, right? Like, all of that happens under the thumb of a despot. And it's just easier to remember that sometimes than not. And at the very least, even if I didn't have as much fun with their antics as I could have, because of that constant reminder, the fact that we do understand Torre better now as a person because of this episode definitely makes up for it. Like, it seems to me that she's completely irredeemable. However, and this is by far, in my opinion, the most interesting part of the whole episode that was filled with interesting stuff, it seems that the suspicions that a lot of fans have had since other recent episodes is correct. And Darius is not irredeemable. Because the episode ends after we've already gotten all this knowledge about how horrible Torre is, but about specifically Raine's abilities. When we see that the tea that Torre has been giving to Raine to screw with their memory hasn't been working, because Raine has been using their ability to change liquids on a molecular level as they blow on the tea without Torre noticing. And then we see, after Torre leaves, one of Darius's abominations comes through a small secret passage to pass rebel info to Raine. That blew my mind. It turns out Raine never forgot anything. They've just been pretending to, even to Eda, because they want to protect Eda from coming to harm. They had a very close call with Eda along for the ride, and they don't want to put Eda in that kind of danger again. And I can respect that, but God, that's stupid. And I gotta say, like, there's some question as to whether or not Darius is actually a good guy at this point. I definitely think at this point he is, because that abomination is very distinctly his. Somehow he's involved in this, right? But, like, the fact that he does seem to be a good guy now definitely puts some other stuff, like this quote in particular, in a completely different context now. And I'll be talking about that in a video coming out either later today or tomorrow. It'll be out soon. I'm going to start trying to get content out to you guys faster. regardless of what that means, I want to start talking about these shows in more depth. Like I said at the top of this video, I want to get back to that side of my content making. That said, though, this was an absolutely excellent episode. The Owl House just keeps knocking these out of the park. And seeing how easily they were able to use this flashback that was fun and informative, like, at the surface level, to give us exactly the details we needed to fully understand that brief ending scene and what it might mean. It was masterful. This episode's a masterpiece. And how freaking adorable is it that even after everything that's gone on and all that they've been through, and as much as they're not communicating with each other at all, Eda and Raine are both fighting so hard to save each other. Like, it's a romance for the ages. It's absolutely fantastic. All that said, though, guys, what did you think of the Owl House episode? Them's the Breaks, kid. If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else who you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out links to my various social medias as well as the many ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.